Folks, we're going to talk about the Loki-Mobius bromance and why it's the greatest bromance in the history of the MCU. I'm not accepting any other contenders. Mended Light. So when we think about healthy relationships, we think about healthy communication, shared interests, really enjoying each other's company, affection, things like that. But what makes a relationship last and endure? It's all about what John Gottman calls accepting influence. Accepting influence is not being so rigid in your views that you can't hear another perspective and learn and grow from it. And this is why Loki and Mobius work so well together. Let's observe. I'm going to start with some silliness and then we'll go to a couple of more serious examples.
It's okay to have a drink while we're down here because we're still working.
Is he running now?
He is running. But hold it. I mean, am I ready to get my skin peeled off?
Yeah, am I ready to violently rip myself from every thread of time and space?
I'd rather have that.
What, you'd rather be atomically disassembled than never reassembled
Than to
again?
have your skin ripped off?
Yes, and then at least you get to live.
Live? What's the quality of life with no skin?
There has to be another way.
Loki's really gonna have to hoof it then, right?
Wait a second, why is it suddenly me having to hoof it?
Well, because it's your turn.
Says who? Why? Why is it me?
Because clearly this isn't me.
But just because it isn't you, it isn't necessarily me.
Listen, guys.
Your shit too.
Guys?
My shit is just it's somebody in a suit.
Guys?
It could be anybody.
It's wearing a helmet. It doesn't look like anyone.
I just don't think it's me.
You would be lost to time forever, and Mobius will lose all of his skin.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
What is it? How does it look?
It looks, I mean, how does it feel?
Thinking about Loki
It's not that bad.
slipping through time.
Really? I mean, I guess it doesn't look, that bad, but we definitely gotta get you some help. You just disappeared. I know, and I can't keep looking at it because it's horrible.
What? I thought you said it didn't look that bad.
I was lying. It's terrible. It looks like you're being born or dying or both at the same time. It's freaking me out.
It's okay.
really painful.
It's not that bad. I can handle it.
I see everything. I notice everything.
I haven't seen you got some crackers up on your chin. How about that? It's very sticky.
What are you doing?
Trust me.
No.
I know what I'm doing.
No!
What? No. I stay focused on the temple. I agree. Before.
See me like what?
It's okay. I'm not judging.
Feels like you are. It's really good.
It is.
Not that great.
It's all right. We're gonna get there.
Where are we?
I was following you.
No, I was following you.
Mobius, you were clearly ahead of me.
Reunited.
400 years.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, how are the other guys doing?
What other guys?
What other guys?
It's just OB.
It's just OB.
Yeah. OB.
Loki, come on!
Absolutely not.
Well, come on, you're the god of mischief, right? A little over the top, don't you think? All the shadow play.
I thought it was spot on.
Come on.
The amazing Loki, everyone! He'll be here all week!
So initially and throughout their relationship, there's a fair amount of bickering, right? They both have positions. They're often opposite from one another. And they both like to debate where they're coming from. What makes them so beautiful, and we saw some of that side of it, is when they start to hear one another and shift ever so slightly. And it doesn't always mean I'm going to come over to your side and I'm going to see things your way. But it does mean that I'm not just locked in. Consider that you may be wrong. And the best friends help you see things from a perspective you weren't considering. Why do we get stuck? Why do we keep repeating the same problems over and over? Why do we keep stepping on the same bear traps? It's because we only have our perspectives. And good friendship helps us to see something else. Mobius and Loki are basically going to talk about religion. Mobius works for the Time Variance Authority, and Loki is going to be questioning his beliefs, what he's built his entire life around. But watch how Loki is open to hearing what Mobius has to say and vice versa.
I mean, you really believe in all this stuff, don't you?
I don't get hung up on believe, not believe. I just accept what is.
3 magic lizards
Timekeepers.
created the TVA, and everyone in it,
Right.
including you.
Including me.
You see, every time I start to admire your intelligence, you say something like that.
Who created you, Loki?
A frost giant of Jotunheim,
And who raised you?
Odin of Asgard.
Odin, god of the heavens, Asgard, mystical realm beyond the stars, frost giants. Listen to
It's not the
yourself.
same. It's completely
no,
different.
No,
It's not the same.
Actually, it's exactly the same thing, because if you think too hard about where any of us came from, who we truly are, it sounds kind of ridiculous. Existence is chaos. Nothing makes any sense, so we try to make some sense of it. And I'm just lucky that the chaos I emerged into gave me all this. My own glorious purpose. Because the TVA is my life, and it's real because I believe it's real.
Fair enough. You believe it's real.
Yeah.
So everything is written. Past, present, future. There's no such thing as free will.
Well, I mean, you know, it's an oversimplification.
So in fact, in a way, you and I, here at the TVA, we're the only ones who are actually free.
Where are you going with this, Loki?
How does it all end?
That's a work in progress.
I appreciate in this theological, philosophical debate they've got going on, when Loki gets to fair enough, you have to consider where Loki's come from. Loki is somebody who wasn't willing to accept influence from anybody. He was always prone to manipulate and to assume that he had all the answers. And he points out the ridiculousness of Mobius's beliefs, right? 3 space lizards. They're not space lizards. They're timekeepers, right? Created everything, and you and I. And Mobius counters, okay, who created you? And Loki starts to share his views, right? His beliefs. And Mobius says, that's equally ridiculous. The universe is chaos. We're all just trying to make sense of it. And Loki says, fair enough. This, to me, is an absolutely beautiful way of having a religious or political discussion. We're taught never to talk about religion or politics because it's just going to get ugly, right? Because people have these beliefs. They're so deeply entrenched and so fundamentally part of who they are that if you touch on them or you challenge them, then you're just going to get defensiveness and anger, and it's going to blow up the whole social situation. And we say that because, yeah, that's kind of what history has shown. The issue is not that we're having discussions about politics and religion. The issue is that we've never been taught how to have those conversations. We have those conversations with a type of intellectual humility. The moment you feel you've got everything figured out, the moment you believe you have all the answers, you stop being teachable. You're not open to learning because you've already got it figured out. As long as you're willing to consider that everything that you hold dear at once gives meaning to your life and gives value to your life and shapes your morals, and at the same time may be flawed and up for re-examination, you're in a healthy space psychologically and emotionally and spiritually. And you can have conversations where you don't need to defend your position with such ardent fervor that friends become enemies because they see the world differently than you do. Loki and Mobius model this beautifully. Loki accepts influence from Mobius in that scene, right? He opens his eyes that I might be wrong, or maybe there's room for Mobius's views at the table. Now we're going to see a little bit of the reverse where they're hunting a rogue Loki, right? A Loki variant from a different universe who is wreaking havoc and causing destruction. And they can't seem to find this Loki because the idea is if you go into the past or at any point in the timeline and you do things differently than how they were supposed to be done, then you're going to create a branching universe, a new universe. And they can't seem to find where this Loki is because they're not finding the branches, if that makes sense. They're not finding where the butterfly effect is settling in and this master of chaos and mischief, where that person's actions are causing great disruptions. And this Loki says, well, I know where I would hide. I'd hide in an apocalypse, right? If I go into an apocalypse where a city's about to be destroyed, I can break a shop window, I can steal a pizza, I can do whatever I want to do, and it's not going to upset anything because that place is about to go. And Mobius isn't sure, he thinks it's a little out there, but they go to Pompeii just before the volcano goes off to test Loki's theory.
You don't trust me, you can trust one thing. I love to be right.
Mobius is like, I don't want to take you out of the TVA because what if you run or try to escape? Well, you don't trust me, trust one thing. I love to be right, and I want to prove this theory correct. So here they are in Pompeii. I've been to Pompeii. This is actually a pretty good recreation of what it would have looked like.
Here we go. Any minute now, until this entire town is wiped off the face of its planet. Imagine all that volcanic ash.
I know we don't want to get too giddy.
Oh, come on. It's cool.
No, it is cool, but it's just not in good taste because of...
Well, they're all gonna die anyway.
I know. Now listen, I'm gonna watch the temp pad for any variance energy.
Okay.
Because we gotta be careful. If you're wrong, and there's a good chance you are, anything we do can create a huge branch.
Oh, Mobius, you make even the end of the world sound boring.
Listen, okay, we're not meant to be here, okay?
Okay.
Anything we do can impact the course of history. Do you get that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna start with very small disturbances.
Very small.
Can you make bird noises?
Bird noises.
Yeah, bird noises, like some whooshing noises. Loki! Loki!
Go! Be free, my horn friends, be free! Mihi nomen est Loki. Praefectus consilii ad tempus mutandem. Atque ad fero acerbum nuntium ad vos omnes. Vos omnes. Morituri estis. Iste mons. Ignes. Pastos per saecola in vos est. Evomiturus.
This is not a small disturbance.
Scio haec esse vera. Quod ego de futuris adveni. We are from the future, right? What is the TVA? I mean, it's from the future. It sounds from the future. It's pretty futury. Right on cue! Enjoy your last meal while you can. Nothing matters. Nothing has any consequence. Dance while you still can. How do we do?
I don't believe it. Zero variance energy, no branching in the timeline.
The TVA would never even know we were here. If it were me, this is where I would hide.
So, of course, Mobius is skeptical, and Loki is proven right. But the key thing here for our relationships is that Mobius is open, right? He still thinks at the beginning of this clip that Loki is wrong and he's going to be proven wrong. But instead of saying, we're not wasting time with that because I already know I'm right, he considers, I don't think I'm wrong, but I'm always open to exploring. Exploring the space, being curious, being willing to learn, being willing to be corrected. And one thing that causes major conflict on a global scale, as well as just within our homes, is making up our mind and then closing it. Once again, Mobius and Loki demonstrate that a healthy relationship requires us to keep it open, which is scary. We don't like to feel like we don't have things figured out. In fact, it goes contrary to like, I want to feel like I can handle anything that's coming my way. So if I'm going to handle anything that's coming my way, I need to have a plan, and I need to know that plan is solid. Here's what I would say. Instead of trusting the plan, trust the process. Make a plan, but if the plan is it, or your worldview is it, or your beliefs are it, be they major, like religion or political things, or minor, like the fastest way to get to the theater, right? Whatever it is. If you're super married to that and super rigid, you can't grow. And you're going to push away anybody who doesn't agree with you. And it's going to be a pattern, because no matter who you find that agrees with you on a lot of things, sooner or later, you're going to have a disagreement and you won't have the flexibility to navigate it. There's a very hard moral choice Loki needs to make. It's hard because there's no clear answer. And even doing what he thinks is right is going to require sacrifice. So he actually goes back in time and talks to earlier Mobius before they've been through all of this stuff together and picks his brain. Before he was a desk jockey, Mobius was a hunter. He was a field operative who went out and pruned, basically killed, different versions of people who were going to do things that weren't according to the established order. And so he's going to tell Loki a story of when he was out in the field and how he became a desk jockey.
You want to hear a good story? Listen to this one. A couple of hunters went out on a mission somewhere near the Black Sea to find a variant who's going to be responsible for 5,000 deaths. 5,000 deaths that were not in the proper flow of time. They get there and there's a little hiccup. The variant is an 8-year-old boy. He was just minding his own business. Swimming with his brother, jumping off the dock. And one of the hunters, who had never had trouble pruning before, he had never hesitated, but that day, he did. He paused. Timeline started to branch, more variants appeared. Happened so fast his partner had to step in and prune the kid. But by then, cat was out of the bag. A couple hunters died. All because that one hunter, he lost sight of the big picture. You gotta keep the big picture in mind. Most purpose is more burden than glory. And trust me, you never want to be the guy who avoids it because you can't live with the burden.
How do you live with it?
Scar tissue.
Loki knows that Mobius is wrong on a micro level and right on a macro level. The decision to prune the kid, to do what was necessary, that Mobius couldn't do, was the right decision to make. But Mobius is backing it like, I'm glad my partner did it. It needed to be done. We needed to keep the big picture in mind. The reason I'm bringing this up, and I want you to follow my logic on this, Loki's further in the story now. Like I said, he's gone back in time and he's talking to a younger Mobius who doesn't realize that his entire life's work is part of a conspiracy. It's a scam. He's had the wool pulled over his eyes. This Mobius doesn't know that the greater purpose, the higher cause that he does bad things for, is actually not a higher cause. But instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, Loki listens to what Mobius is saying. And he realizes there's truth in his words. That most purpose is more burdensome than glorious. This is a play on Loki's famous phrase, I am burdened with glorious purpose.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
And Mobius says, most purpose is more burdensome than glorious, but you don't want to be the person who doesn't do what has to be done because you're scared of the burden. And Loki says, how do you deal with it? And Mobius says, scar tissue. The specific example Mobius is giving, Loki actually doesn't agree with. And he does not agree with this Mobius back in time, with his worldview. But he still finds from it wisdom that's going to help him do what he has to do at this point in the story. This is all my convoluted, fancy way of saying you don't have to see the world the same as another person or agree with them on everything, even the big things, to recognize that they have wisdom, that they have humanity, and that if you're listening, they can teach you something. And this is the beauty of their friendship, is they're different personality types and styles, and yet they become serious bros because they accept influence from one another. In your relationships, in person or online, are you in an echo chamber? Have you surrounded yourself with people who just parrot back to you your own opinions and your own views in their own words? If you're doing that, I promise you, you've stopped growing. I promise you, you're going to encounter difficulties in your life that you're not going to know how to face because you're limiting the resources and the wisdom with which you can face it. Expand and associate with and interact with people who are different from you in personality, in belief, in politics, in values. See their humanity and why they do what they do and why it matters to them. And you'll be better able to relate, to heal, and to grow. And you'll form lasting relationships that will bless you forever. What do you think of Loki and Mobius? Are they the best Marvel bromance? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this concept of accepting influence, as John Gottman calls it? How has this benefited you in your life? And if you're digging this, check out, we've got an entire series of Marvel videos here for you. Until next time, folks, keep shining. We need your light.